You got to take action. Action is ultimately what's going to lead to success. There are tons of entrepreneurs that are sitting on the sidelines wondering why they're not getting the results that they had. Waiting for the funding that they need, or waiting for that next big deal to come through the door, or waiting for their SEO to optimize, or waiting for that outbound prospecting, blitz, that mass email to generate enough action that their business is going to survive. Let me explain to you that passive action is not the same as positive action. When you personally go out and sell something, right? When you go out and test the marketplace, when you go out and you split test a script, or when you go and you try to make things happen, like that's where your success is going to live and die. An idea without a sale is nothing. You get the greatest idea, the greatest piece of technology, the greatest piece of software, the greatest business service that's ever come up, it's ever been dreamed of. But until you take action and until you get somebody to say yes to that, nothing happens, right? I mean, ultimately, the business is about two things. Number one is, do you have a compelling message that's strong enough, right? A message that compels people to actually want to actually meet with you. Can you get an audience? Like, that's step number one. And step number two is, when you have that audience, is what you have, your value proposition, your offer, your price point, is that enough to move somebody forward? And there are all these people that daydream about being a business. They think they're entrepreneurs. They title themselves entrepreneurs, and they haven't sold yet. Like, you're not a business until you sell something. You're not a success, you're not an entrepreneur until you go out and you make a sale. And that may be 5 calls, that may be 50 calls, that may be 500 calls, but you've got to keep going out there and pushing and testing and pressing. And look, sales isn't just, to a business. You may be a math teacher, and you are trying to sell something that is government mandated. Children have to sit there and they have to learn algebra. But if your students aren't engaging, if you don't have an audience that's willing to listen, and they're not willing to buy what you're selling, you need to redefine and maybe reconsider the manner in which you're going to market. And certainly that's one example. But there are a million examples like that. Recruiting is a sale, and if what you're saying isn't getting enough people to say yes, maybe you need to tweak it, right? If not enough people are showing up to your door, you don't have the right message. So again, you've got to create a message that's compelling enough to make people act, and 2, you got to move them to action. And if you're not doing that, then you're not really an entrepreneur, and you're not really successful, and certainly your business isn't going to grow. There's absolutely no certainty, right? So the message that you think you have today, the one that you absolutely are confident is going to work, may not work, right? It may not resonate. It may not get the audience. It may not move people forward. And so you as an entrepreneur, you've got to be willing to adjust. You've got to be willing to change, I mean, it's amazing to see how companies evolve over time. And I think I was reading the other day that Samsung started out as as a produce company or something totally random. And the evolution of a business, right? And the evolution of a business is really about actions they take and identifying what the challenges are. So, the biggest thing that you have to understand is inaction is not a strategy, right? Waiting is not a strategy. You need to go. You need to go and break. You need to go and figure it out. You need to try one thing after another until the magic happens. And when that happens, you capture it. And when you capture that magic, that's when you recreate it or try to recreate it over and over. When you actually are successful, that's when you know that your brand, that your message, that your product, that your service is going to be viable. That the market is telling you you're onto something, right? That it's gonna win. And until you get there, you gotta keep trying. You gotta keep going out with the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Eventually, you're gonna land on something. But you ain't gonna land on it if you wait for it.